Yo people, what's up? Before I really start the video, I just want to say we may not agree on everything, but there are things that we both agree on. And that is the case for this video as well. I may say some things that you may not agree with, but I will also say things that you will agree with. And that is important, the things that we both agree with, because that's a massive problem in our society and in life, is that we focus so much on the shit that we disagree on that we don't actually get to an agreement. This video and this topic is something that I'm very passionate about, not because I'm hateful about it, not because I want nobody to be on medication and I hate psychiatry and psychology. It's the opposite. It's because I'm extremely passionate about this. I care about this. I care a lot about people. And I have also had my own personal dealings with the subject. And I don't even speak about it much. I also have had someone in my life recently who has become more involved with this sort of thing, if I can say that. I don't want to say too much information, but someone that is basically experiencing the subject at the moment. And I think there is a sad thing about all of this because we have a lot of problems in society, but we have a lot of solutions as well. And a lot of the proposed solutions are not the right solutions. When it comes to antidepressants, let me first tell you a little bit about my story. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was younger. I can't remember. First grade, I think. And the reason why I even started that journey is because of stupid shit. It's basically because like I wasn't doing great in school, I think, and I was trying to get attention in class. Like it wasn't really based on something proper, if I can say that. I was on Ritalin for about 9 years and my life improved when I went off of them. It's not just because I went off of them, like there are other factors, but I wasn't doing great when I was on Ritalin. And I didn't even want to admit it at the time. Like people, I still remember specifically this, like someone that I spoke to, someone older, kind of said how Ritalin made them feel like a zombie, and I didn't really feel like that. And I still don't think I felt like that, but I see what that person meant after the fact. I'm telling you this because I didn't need Ritalin. And even if I had ADHD, I don't know if I've ever said I have ADHD. I was diagnosed with it. I don't know if I have it, but it's not something I even put on myself. I don't know if I've ever said I have ADHD, but even if I have ADHD or did have it, I didn't necessarily need Ritalin. No, I didn't need Ritalin, especially not at that age. There are other ways I could have improved my ADHD or whatever it is. There are other methods. There are other things that I could have done. Now, when it comes to antidepressants, there's this whole thing about chemical imbalance and shit. And if you do the research, you'll realize that the chemical imbalance is basically just a theory. And even if it's true, you need to ask yourself why people have a chemical imbalance. You are not born with a chemical imbalance. I'm pretty sure that that's a fact. I don't want to say it is a fact because I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that that's a fact. The point is, there's a lot of research on SSRIs. And a lot of the information that people have about SSRIs is based on basically marketing. Apparently in the 90s, when SSRIs started coming out, pharmaceutical companies started marketing SSRIs and different medications and shit. And they pushed this theory about the chemical imbalance. So it's not even properly based on fact. And I'm going to tell you something that a psychiatrist told me. A psychiatrist told me, and I'm paraphrasing, but a psychiatrist told me that you cannot test for low serotonin. What psychiatrists do is they basically evaluate you based on certain criteria. So if you fit these criteria, they assume, a calculated assumption, they assume that you have low serotonin and therefore you have depression. But the point is, it's an assumption. It's not a fact. You may not have low serotonin and then you're given SSRIs. And I want to make it clear, I am not against medication, because there are probably stories out there how medication has helped people. I'm not sure of them myself. There might be one person that I somewhat know of, but I'm not sure of it. But I'm not against medication. I am against giving out medication so easily and so quickly, because there are other tried and true methods to help people before putting them on medication. And I think our society is over medicated. That is essentially a fact. And how I can say that that's a fact is because there's a lot of people that have been on medication, including myself, that have said after years of being on medication that it didn't help them. And that's the whole point of the medication. The problem is that medication is given out to try to solve a problem. But the medication is solving the symptom, not the problem. You become depressed due to usually life factors, traumatic experiences, etc., etc. So it's not that your brain is not working properly. Your brain is reacting how it should to a situation like a shitty family life, a shitty home life. You're probably going to be depressed if your home life is not good. That doesn't mean that you should be on medication. Again, if it helps you, it's a different story. But be honest, does it help you watching this video? Has it helped you? I am also not against psychiatry or psychology either, because these things help us gain a deeper understanding of the human brain, because the human brain is extremely complex. I guess I am against, like I said, giving out medication too easily, but also the fact that a lot of things that is spoken about in psychiatry and psychology is spoken about as if it's solid fact, when it is not solid fact. And the problem is that a lot of people trust doctors with the information, but then the doctors don't even actually know the information. They may have studied certain things, but they don't look at the other side of the story, if you know what I'm saying. They don't look at the evidence that may point. They may not look at the contrary evidence. And especially if it comes to hurting their pockets, why would they want to look at information that may hurt their pockets? Now, there are good psychologists and psychiatrists out there. And I pray, I literally pray for these people. I pray for the good people of this world, the good doctors, the good psychiatrists, the good psychologists, because there are people out there that genuinely care for people. It's just sad that it doesn't seem that these people who genuinely care are in the majority. And even the people who genuinely care are misconstrued and led on the wrong path due to the information that is out there. It's not completely their fault. When we bring up things like meditation, yoga, exercise, and how these things can be used to help people with these problems, it's kind of looked at like, oh yeah, but it's not science. And that's not right, because there is science that backs these things. But what do you think has more power? Something that anybody and everybody can do, like exercise, or something that you need to buy from a pharmacy? What do you think has more power? Again, I am not necessarily against psychology, psychiatry, or medication. And I don't want to make it seem that way. But it does hurt me when I see a lot of people going to therapy, getting on medication, and especially the medication part. Therapy is one thing, but when you put a drug in your body, especially when your body becomes dependent on it, that is a huge decision to make. And doctors essentially make this for millions of people in the world. And when you make that decision, I watched a video the other day of someone who spoke about antidepressant withdrawals, and you don't really hear this from people. And that's one of the things that really saddened me, is because I see a lot of people going to therapy and specifically getting put on medication, but they're not being helped. They are not being helped with the actual problems. They are being helped with the symptoms. So yeah, I don't know what more to say. Like, the truth is, you need to do your research. Like, there's a lot of research out there, but it doesn't matter what I say necessarily, because at the end of the day, you need to convince yourself. I am just here to speak my mind and tell you how I have dealt with and how I have experienced these things. And I'm not speaking from a place of not knowing. I'm speaking from a place of taking Ritalin for like 9 years. I am speaking from a place of going to a doctor for so long. I am speaking from a place. Do you know that there is a connection between people diagnosed with ADHD, children specifically, and recess times? The more that people have recess times, the more that children have recess, the more recess children have, the less likely they are to be diagnosed with ADHD. What does that tell you? That tells you that there's something bigger at play than simply your brain not working correctly. It's a reaction to environmental factors and societal factors. We need to change more. We need to do more than just be put on medication. We need to change more than just trying to change people. We need to look at this from a different perspective and realize that you can be wrong. Realize that you can be wrong about medication and psychology, psychiatry, and therapy. We should aim to get to the truth, and we should aim to actually help people, because just because you go to a psychologist or psychiatrist or get put on medication doesn't mean you are being helped. You need to actually help people. So yeah, I think I've said what I needed to. I'm not. I don't need to explain myself further. If you think that I am against you, if you think that I am against psychology, psychiatry, completely against medication, you are wrong. And you are not understanding what I'm telling you. So I've said what I needed to. I've made my point, and I hope you understand. And I hope this brings some sort of change. I love you, and peace.